This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and it goes to Gibbs White. Edge of the box, Foley. Yes! Great goal! What a hit from Oliveira! Gibbs White! They've only gone and done it again! Forest back in the lead! Rewarded Gibbs White! Oh, what he scores! And the City ground goes ballistic!
Hello, welcome to this edition of Red Side of Trent as Forest prepare to face Aston Villa in a clash that sees fifth play sixth. Who would have thought that we'd be the fifth team there playing sixth? Joining me are Reece Coy and Danny Tring. Reece, how are you first of all?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on again.
No worries. Danny, how are you? Been a while since we've seen you.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Well, I've been trying to we've been crossing times have been a bit odd, haven't they? I've been footballing and then what have you.
So you've abandoned, have you still got the Nigeria flag in the background or have you abandoned it for a Serbian one?
No, I'm still on the Nigerian one. I just haven't got it up today. Christmas decks are up, so it's one of them jobs.
Fair enough. Let's recap the weekend, guys, because it's still Tuesday. We can still bask in all the glory that was. Danny, let's start with yourself. Just a brief overcap of what did you think of the game? Obviously, a great result.
Yeah, I think the result was brilliant. I mean, what more do you want? It's like I said to you at the start of the season, you could win 2 games away. I think every single one of us would say United and Liverpool, wouldn't they? But performance-wise, I think it's all like now the dust has settled a bit. You can't just be like, oh yeah, it was absolutely amazing. We battered him, this, that, and other. I think there was some things that we need to address really. Like I think the midfield's struggling at the minute. I don't want to go in too much on it, but I think a better opposition probably puts us to the sword in the first half, and then we're looking it's a different game. But that didn't happen, and obviously I'm as positive as ever with fifth in league. I don't know if I put on Twitter. I sat with my dad, and I mean he can moan with best on him, and we both just sat there. We just thought we've done no but moan for the last 2 weeks. We're fifth in league, beat Liverpool away. Beat Man U away. What's happening? But I don't know. It's what we do.
We're
as
a
fans.
fickle bunch.
Yeah,
we are a fickle bunch. Reece, obviously yourself and I enjoyed it in the Grosvenor pub down Mansfield Road, and was giving it large to all the United fans that we could find in there, weren't we?
Yeah, we was, mate. Yeah, it was enjoyable, wasn't it? Exactly what Danny said. It's sort of like all your slept on it thoughts were the same thing. All them when you were at school and all them United fans who were giving it massive, and obviously now it's come back around. But it's yeah, exactly as Danny said. Now the dust has settled. There's still bits you want to see a little bit better from. You can always want more. I mean, it's part of it. You can always want to be better. That's the whole point. It's obviously just nice to beat them, but when you remove the United badge and remove Old Trafford and put a Bournemouth badge or West Ham or anyone else, it's kind of a game you'd expect us to win based on how they're playing. So it's obviously nice for reasons beyond football, really. So I've been enjoying that side of it and watching everyone's heads fall off. But you try and get as much Forest in as you can, and you listen to all these like sort of neutral, as they're supposed to be, media outlets, and it's all about how bad United were, not how good Forest are or have been, which is a bit annoying. But it's just par for the course with United, isn't it?
I mean, I've been told Forest were lucky by multiple Man United fans, salty Man United fans. I mean, they ought to sort themselves out before they call us lucky. But I mean, I don't know if it's been the same for you guys, but it kind of is a bit of a testament there when you say that, Reece, because everyone's talking about how bad Man United were. They were awful. I mean, we weren't like Danny reiterated to. When you take the game, when you look at the game in hindsight, we weren't great, and we didn't need to be because Man U was so bad.
Well, yeah, exactly that. It's almost like I seen something pop up on Twitter earlier saying it's Forest claiming to have beaten Man United is sort of like Jake Paul saying that he beat Mike Tyson. Like, yeah, it's 57-year-old and past it. He's not knocking people out anymore. There is a little bit of that to it, but they were terrible. But to look at us, you've got to beat what's in front of you, and we did. So, and I tell you what, every single one of them United fans would pay to be as lucky as we were that day, if that's the case.
I mean, I don't think we were that lucky, Danny, to be honest. I just think, like we've just said, Man U were bad. We took our chances. I mean, we're efficient. 3 shots on target and 3 goals.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's had an horror show, hasn't he, Onana? He's had an absolute horror show. I mean, I'm not exaggerating here. I genuinely think that might be one of the worst mistakes I've ever seen, ever, for the Gibbs White goal, because he's literally looking at the shot. It's like I'd say to anyone who's never played in that, if I said to you now, I'm putting you in that for that shot, you're both going, I'd save that. Do you know what I mean? You'd pick it up.
Mm.
And I just think he had a bit of a horror show, but at the end of the day, yeah, we weren't brilliant. They were awful. And it's like, do you know the thing is, I don't even think they bothered that they're bad either. You know, when you watch the players, I don't even think they like thing. I think they're at that point now where they believe they're an hype and they're like, well, I'm not bothered losing to Forest, isn't going to hurt me. Whereas like your top players, well, you like to think your top players, they find it like, oh, I'm not losing to Nottingham Forest today on my own patch. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think I looked at them like when Bruno come off, it were like, yeah, I'll come off. Like, I'm all right with that. Then Rashford comes on and he's like, yeah, I'll let him run for like 20 minutes, but I don't know if I can be bothered. So I think that's where they are as a club. But like you say, we've got to go and beat them. We've gone and beat them. On to the next one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just shows our desire and our wanting of a results. But like Elliot Anderson kind of summed it up by winning the ball on the edge of their box after starting a move, and then we obviously go and score the 3rd goal. And how we're defending at the moment is a credit to Nuno and the team and where like their endeavours are and stuff. But I think it would be good to see what you both thought. Like you think where we could improve on for sure in the future, because there are obviously some kind of things that we need to be better at. And Nuno reiterated that in his post-match release. I don't know if you've listened to it, but he's like, yeah, we need to be better. We need to be more better on the counter-attack, especially. He kind of pinpointed.
Yeah, I completely agree. I said it on the last pod I was on. I'm still concerned about the lack of dominance in the middle of the park. Whether that's something that they've... excuse me, I don't know whether Nuno would probably want to concede the middle of the park to spring that counter attack. I don't know whether it's something he's trying to do, but for me, it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I want to see a little bit more assertiveness in there, and I think that sees your games out when you've got such a dominant force in the middle of the park. That's the major improvement for me. It was a little bit. I'm still a little bit concerned that we're setting these traps for the counter attack, and we're sitting deep, but we're sitting deeper than we used to sit. I mean, no, that spell in the Ipswich game where we sort of sat really deep, and you're sort of waiting, like one mistake from them, but them mistakes are few and far between in the Premier League. We don't seem to be breaking as quick as we used to when we was first under Nuno. But Nuno's right. He's the manager of a Premier League club, and if he's not happy with it, then it sort of gives us a platform to completely agree with him, really. But the lack of midfield dominance for me is still the big concern.
Yeah, Danny, how would you want to fix that? Do you think that means we buy someone in January, or is it simply like the fact that we have missed Danilo and Sangare to kind of give us that more control in midfield? Because that has been, we all reiterated at the start of the season, we needed a new goalkeeper, we needed a new striker, we needed a winger. Now it's kind of like, do we need a central midfielder? But like, there are still some good parts to that central midfielder. We've all got people that will give 100%. Do you know what I mean? But it's you can give 100% for so long. You still need the quality, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, for me, I mean, it might not come to a shock to you. I'm not the biggest Yates fan, right? I look at it and I see people defend him and they go, oh no, like, at the end of the day, like, I look at the Man City game, when he did what he did, it's like your sole purpose, you are this that's your job. Like I think I see someone put on Twitter, I'm not have a go at Yates for missing a sitter from 10 yards, but I will have a go at him for doing that. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's what he's in there for. And then you roll fast forward to the United game. I mean, I've seen you and Reece, you was on about their first goal, and you were saying, oh yeah, he's like, he should have just stayed. And then Reece like, well, no, I think he's done the right thing, he's gone. He hasn't, because what he's done is gone, but hasn't. What a normal six, well, what a good six would do there is their press of the ball would cut out the pass option. Whereas he almost pressed to the point where I imagine Nugati's thinking, you literally just opened the pass for me. Like, you made my mind up by your pressing because his positional sense isn't there. So I think, and I know people say, oh yeah, everyone writes him off and he comes back and he comes back. At the end of the day, he wasn't Nuno's first choice this season. It's took 2 injuries for him to get in, and he's took. I mean, I'm not going to say he's not done well because he has done well. I mean, I think he's played the best I've ever seen him play. Does that mean I'm sat here thinking he's the answer? The answer, I think, to that's no, because I mean, Ipswich bossed us. They bossed us in the middle of the park. Like Reece just said, we're so open. There's no dominance, and it's like. We keep saying, oh yeah, the forward players aren't doing it. But it's like, at the end of the day, you've got to have some build-up. It's like, you can't just kick the ball to him and say, right, run. Or we'll kick it down the line, just run. It's like, you've got to have some build-up and hope that you can build from the midfield. So, for me, if Sangare is not going to be fit, then you've got to look at probably getting someone in. Because I know people say, oh yeah, but this might be our best chance to get Europe. Do you know, like, you're looking around, there's a lot of teams in transition this year. And it's like Liverpool, for example. They're going to look now and think they want Liverpool. They'll be like us in a different way. Their fans will go, oh yeah, but we're not expecting to win the league. But they're going to want to win the league now. Whereas us, we were not expecting to get in Europe. But if we're fifth, we're fifth, we're going to be thinking, if I'm Marinakis, if I'm what's it, you're thinking, this might be our best chance because the teams, no one can get any form. So you've got to look, are the better like Newcastle? I mean, they look loads better than us, didn't they, when we played them? So to answer your question, I think we need to go into my main target in the summer. In January is going to get a number 6 because rumours that Sangare's got a little another niggle. So is he going to be realistically ready? I wouldn't want to put it on Danilo, not yet. And then I just think, and I had a quick look at like people called Sangare. He's played 3 games. I think he got 9 tackles and about 6 interceptions in 3 games. I think our top tackles is about 14. Do you know what I mean? Nah, so I think he would be what we're missing.
Yeah, just someone with a bit more athleticism because he just kind of not shown it, has he? Really, unfortunately, he's been so disappointed that it's not worked for him. Because I generally thought this would be the season he turned it around, and
I would like to see him now though, like at the side of settled Anderson. Do you know what I mean? A settled Anderson who looks like, because at the end of the day, you've got to form your partnerships, haven't you? It's like, and I think Anderson looks like the real deal for me, and it's like I'd like to see him at the side of someone who necessarily, because he has shown it in, like you say, fits and stuff, but it's just not enough, is it?
I think they might complement each other, to be fair, because they both want to pass the ball and get it down, and can both win ground duels, can't they? I mean, it's funny that you say about your opinion on Yates. I actually thought he was at fault for the second goal partly because he closes Diallo down instead of marking Fernandes. Not once does he actually look at Fernandes and go, "Well, I need to pick him up," because there was enough players around Diallo to deal with that, in my opinion. But it's gone. We won the game, and we can be happy and we can move on with it. But I mean, yeah, I think centre mid could be a priority in January, depending on if Sangare is still not fit. And you're not relying on Danilo coming back from an ankle break, then it could be an interesting January, especially with we keep getting linked to Brazilian strikers. I know we're linked to this Yuri Roberto fella, Yuri Albert. I don't really know his name, to be honest. But Villa at the weekend, then, guys. Hey,
I was just going to say with that though, it's like if I said to you that like a striker's necessarily not going to come in and start, is it? It's like that's why I think it's like the centre mid. If we got a good centre mid, he's going to come in and start. That's why I'd go for a centre mid.
You need someone that's going to improve the 11 in January, not someone who's going to be a backup. In my eyes, I think anyway. Especially if you're going to overpay the money. But yeah, so Villa at the weekend, guys. I mean, patchy form to say the least. In the last 5 games, they've won 2, lost 2, and drawn 1 in the league, but still in 6th despite balancing being back in the Champions League race. What have you made of Villa from what you've seen? And obviously, my new friend, but your mate Luke is a season ticket holder there, so he must be speaking to you about Villa quite a lot, and you must have some sort of insight for us, I guess, on Villa a little bit.
Yeah, well, I work with a bunch of them all the time, so it's all I hear. I mean, to be honest, the first thing I would say is that they're actually a decent bunch in terms of the fan base, very similar to us, similar history. And I feel quite indifferent about them, to be honest. And I think they was one of the only clubs that you seen sort of flying our flag when we got promoted. So I don't necessarily mind them in that sort of respect. But in terms of how they've been, I think that the transition into Champions League football is obviously where they struggled, which you see a lot of teams struggle with, like Newcastle did. But it's funny. They're obviously patchy, but they're still 1 goal worse off than us. Do you know what I mean? So that's not a bad that's not a bad place to be. They're going to be obviously a much tougher test than Manchester United. The problem Nuno's going to face as well is they've got a few players that can play in a few positions and they can mix it up quite a bit. I mean, dropping Ollie Watkins, who probably every other team in the league would snap your hand off for John Duran, who's obviously in good form himself, just shows you how good they are as a team. Strength at right back, you've got Matty Cash, you've got Konza. Well, obviously they must obviously have 3 of the world's best left backs to let Moreno come over to us. They've got obviously a riches of central midfielders that are any 2 of the 4 or 5 or 6 that they've got would all probably get in our team and a few teams above us as well. So they're patchy, but I think that's just a reflection of them getting used to Champions League football. But by no means is this going to be an easy game. It's a much tougher test than Manchester United ever will be, in my opinion. That's probably for the next 5 years, not just for this season, to be honest. I mean, I look at Villa as a sort of litmus test as to where we should be. I think they're very similar. Obviously, went down, come up, sort of worked their way. Yeah, sort of rode on the coattails of a big sell, and obviously Grealish sort of rebuilt. We've done it a little bit with Johnson, depending on how you look at when his transfer went through, and obviously when we held off for them funds coming in. But they're not too dissimilar to us, so it's a tough test.
Yeah, I mean, as we record this, they are playing Leipzig away and they are winning 1-0. And Ollie Watkins has scored; he's back in the lineup. So it's an interesting one. They're 8th in the league table for an away record on -4 goal difference. Again, very patchy. I mean, they lost at Chelsea, they lost at Liverpool as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So I just wanted to bring up their last lineup. So this could literally be anything on Saturday, to be fair, guys. I'll just bring it up and I'll read it out for the audio listeners. So their lineup against Southampton in a 1-0 win was Emi Martinez in goal, Konza, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres, Maatsen at the back, Babacar Kamara, Yuri Tielemans in centre mid, Liam Bailey, John McGinn, Morgan Rogers behind John Duran. Although I know they like to play like a 4-4, like 4-2-2 kind of formation when they've got the ball and when they're out of possession. They're a bit old school in that sense, in my opinion. But what do you make of that team, Danny? Like, and how much do you expect it to be that team, or do you think they'll rein in the changes? Obviously tonight they're playing Champions League, as I said, and they're winning 1-0. So they kind of use the same like 15, 16 players, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how much they get took out of them tonight. But I mean, on Tuesday, Saturday, it's like you probably fancy that Watkins will probably come in for Duran, and then it's Ramsey in it. He sometimes starts for him, doesn't he?
I think he's been injured, you know.
Has he?
I think so, because he's not even in the squad tonight. I'm just looking at it right now. He's not even in the squad. He's injured, hamstring injury. Jacob Ramsey.
Looking at it, like you say, I wouldn't be surprised if it's that lineup with Watkins in for Duran. If I'm honest, it's like, it's a good side, isn't it? Let's be right. It's a cracking side. Talisman's he's done well into this year. I think people thought it was a bit of a flop at Leicester towards the end, but it looks a lot better at the minute. It looks fitter. He looked a bit overweight last year when he was at Leicester, I always thought. And then he's done well. And then you've got is Anana? Is he there?
He's on the bench at the moment.
Yeah, so they've got him. He's a good lad. He's a good. He's a bit.
He's a big unit.
Yeah, on his day, he's a really good player when he's at it because he's physically dominant, isn't he? So, no, I think they're going to probably be the best side we've had come towards. I'd probably say
over the Newcastle.
I'd probably say they're better than Newcastle. Maybe not. I think defensively they're better than Newcastle. I think Isak's, to me, the best striker in the league. And I think, their midfield, I know they dominated us, but it's still got Longstaff in it. It's not like, he's a steady footballer, only Longstaff. He's not like a world beater. So, but yeah, it'd be up there, them and Newcastle. And I thought it was like men against the boys against Newcastle. So we're all going to have to be at it. And like I say, you'd like us to put a show up, and it's going to be one of them where they'll be looking at it thinking, we're challengers for them. And we're going to look at it like, well, if we can beat these at home, that puts us 3 points. They're technically sixth. That puts us 3 points ahead of sixth. Do you know what I mean? Then you start thinking, you start building on that. It's like this could be like, I think we said it last couple of fixtures back, maybe 4 or 5 fixtures. These ones are going to tell these next 4 because of how well we are and where we're sat. This could be like the difference. If we get a good result in these next 4 games. And it comes to the midway and we are comfortably in Europe, no one, your expectation does become that. It does. That's football, like everyone's does.
Marinika's house is going to go on for the January window, isn't it? It's just going to be like splashing the cash. Victor Gyökeres just revealed at Forest.
We all know what he's like, though. We all know what he's like. It's like, no matter what you can say about Marinakis, the Inter fan that can't say is not ambitious and he don't put his wallet where his mouth is, does he? We all know that.
I don't know if you've both listened to the interview with Rob Dorset, but it sounds like he's quite prepared to go in, and obviously come after the Everton game, if we're still in the top half, you just don't know. It just depends whether you've got players available, because it's always, we all know as football fans, we've been football fans for over 20 years, each of us probably 30 years or whatever, but you just know it's such a hard window to come by. But we're getting to our lineups. Reece, I'm going to put yours up first because it's pretty much the same as what I'm going with, which is this one. So yours is, I'll just read it out for the audio listeners, is a 4-2-3-1, and the only change you've made from the Man United game is you've put Elanga back in for Diego Jota Silva, should I say, or Arthur Shelby as Morgan Gibbs White.
Great shout, that is.
Yeah. What's made you make that change, and why?
Just seeing how we've played of late. Jota was the best he's been, to be honest. And as much as it says Reece's 11 at the top of the screen, it's more just Nuno can't really do a great deal else with that team. To be honest, I looking at historically, he doesn't change a winning line or a winning team that often. So really, Reece's team would probably have one of them 2 English midfielders not in it, and probably with his goggles on doing a few lengths instead. So make of that what you will. Obviously, Elliot Anderson's a great swimmer. So, we all say it, don't we? Someone has 2 or 3 bad games, they probably should sit on the bench and let someone else have a go. So I just think Elanga will probably come in. But what I will say, I've been thinking about this a little bit, is plaudits to Nuno, because he brought Nico in against Ipswich, raised a few eyebrows. But I think he's done it with the view of this game, rather than bringing Nico in from the cold. It's sort of
Yeah.
you can almost afford. It sounds like such a flippant thing in a Premier League game against Ipswich, but he's allowed the opportunity, and obviously the way they play sort of benefited Nico playing as well in a way. Then obviously he gets the rest against City, then comes in against United. So he's had 3 games as opposed to coming in from the cold and then starting the game against Villa. But I just think the way we are playing, and we're probably going to concede the midfield again, because that's that team that you've shown of Villa. Morgan Rogers frightens the life out of me. The way we sort of let someone break the lines and play on the half turn in a 10 or sort of left forward as it is probably going to sit narrow, sit tight, 2 banks again, and look to break. And I just think Elanga might possibly be the man for that, but it's also extremely harsh on Jota Silva. I'm just sort of, my team's a bit devil's advocate, thinking on how Nuno would think as opposed to being truly my own, if you like. Because my own is probably a coin toss between Elanga and Jota and Dominguez in there with Anderson, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good management, like you mentioned, from Nuno with the Nico Williams situation, especially when you put it like that, where you're like, he's actually thought about it. It's not just like let's just chuck him in kind of thing.
Well, he did it with Ward-Prowse, didn't he?
Sense.
He did it with Ward-Prowse. I think he dropped him the game before he knew he was going to miss the West Ham game. Was it that game? I think he did, didn't he? He didn't bring him back in. So yeah, it's clever, to be honest. It might be pure coincidence, but for me, it's calculated. For me, he's gave him 2 or 3 more games than someone normally would. So to have a hit the ground running opportunity, basically.
Well, and to be fair, like Alex Moreno's had his injury kind of concerns in the past, and Nico's been good when he's come on and kind of maybe warranted, like, this is a reward for your.
Can I just touch on this just a little bit? Because I mean, with the Nico thing, there's always this notion after Nico, like, oh, he did well for Nico, and it's like, well, I don't quite get that sentiment at all. He's a starting left back for Wales.
Million.
Yeah, and like, okay, your price tag isn't everything, but he's a bloody good fullback. I see Nico in the side, and I thought, I don't really think, apart from he started shaky, that was 2.5, 3 seasons ago. I mean, how many of them lads that we signed from that are still here? Do you know what I mean?
Not many.
Exactly. So it's something that I've been wanting to say for a while, because it sort of there's a scapegoat in every team, isn't there? And I think he sort of gets that. He's starting, and with the greatest respect to Harry Toffolo, it's not Toffolo. It's a young lad who's dynamic, athletic, weirdly better on the left than he is on the right when he's right-footed, in my opinion.
I've loved it when him and Aina have played and they swap fullback positions.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. Set piece or something. It's good versatility.
Some people might laugh me out, but I just think Nico's very Matty Cash, leggy, athletic, quick, sort of just that unorthodox sort of. He's sliding, but then he's already standing up as he's tackling someone. He's just hard to play. It's probably horrible to play against. So I think he really gets our time for a price tag that he didn't put on his own head.
Yeah, I mean, we've asked. I think Reece has asked this on the pod before. Actually, I'll ask this to both of you. He's got 18 months on his contract come January. What would you like to see happen with Nico Williams, Danny? Would you like to extend that, or do you think we might cash in the summer? Because I think Atalanta were interested in the summer, actually. We rejected the bid.
For me, if the bid come in and it was, I would accept, like, because I look at it and I get what Reece is saying, yeah. But the fact is, we signed Sergio Aurier on a free. It was better than him. We've signed Aina on a free. It was better than him. If I says to you now, Nico Williams is going to start every game, I think a majority of fans would say, I think we need better than that. And so for me, it's like, if you got an offer, it's like at the end of the day, and for him as well, he's going to look at it and think, if I stop here and Forest, say we activate the Moreno deal, and Moreno's done well. Like, people, I know we got roasted by Saka, but he's had a good season. Do you know what I mean? He's not been. You look at him, you fancy him to start over Nico on a run of games. if they was to activate that, he's going to look and think, well, I'm going to be second choice, because he will be. And it's like, for me, if the bid come in, it's going to be, I'd accept it, because it's a bit of a crossroads, isn't it, for both of them? It's like they either got to make the decision that he's the starting player, and Nico's going to think, and then also Nico's then also going to think, am I the starting player? Because I don't really want to be stopping here if I can get another move somewhere else. Because you're looking, I mean, Wolves are struggling. I'd take that 8-0 over him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're struggling. Yeah. Like, you look, there's like that Leif Davis is a tidy player. Do you know what I mean? I won't say there's much in it. Like, I won't say there's much. Like, he hasn't ripped it up, but he's not awful. I don't think he's awful. I don't think he's a steady player, but I don't think Nico Williams is going to want to be, like, say, the Harry Toffolo. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what. So for me, it's a bit of a crossroads, and if the offer come in, I'd take it, because I do think I won't fancy him being my starting fullback in Premier League.
That's fair enough, Reece.
I'd probably take it more for the PSR side of things now, because obviously the profit against that then would look good, wouldn't it? Because obviously there'd only be X amount of them millions left. Is a victim of circumstance a bit though for me, Nico, because he's obviously been hindered. His development's been hindered by not playing, because Serge Aurier comes in. You need experience at the back when we didn't have much, and we didn't have any stability in your centre halves. So a Serge Aurier coming in, who's probably played upwards of 200 plus Premier League games, we needed him more than you could afford the opportunity to Nico at the time. How many Olareinas come around? Not many. He's just been extremely unfortunate.
He's a golden egg, him.
Exactly, yeah. He's just extremely unfortunate in terms of timing again. But if it come and it was a bid of anywhere near what we put in for him, then I'd probably somewhat reluctantly just go, it's a shame it didn't work out, but yeah, all the best, and then look to improve. It doesn't upset me when he's starting. I feel completely indifferent, to be honest. If it come out tomorrow that he signed a couple of year extension, I'd be like, oh, okay, fair enough. You know he's steady. You know he's going to do a job. He'll keep you ticking over, and you can afford to focus on other areas rather than investing in a fullback, which it seems like we're doing quite a lot. Like we've all just said, we'd rather invest in the central midfielder if it means just tying someone down to a little bit more money for a couple of years to buys a bit of time. And put the money somewhere else that's going to get us higher up the league and stabilise in a European sort of spot, then I'd happily just extend his contract for a couple of years. Gives him an opportunity to try and nail it down. Moreno would be 32, 33. He's not going to play every week. If it then comes to this time next year, he's had a 2-year extension. He's still not really shown any signs of improvement. You then look at it and go, well, he's got an extra year than he did this time last year. We want 2025 for him. He's got another 30, 40 Premier League games under his belt. However many, and then you look at it again. So either or, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I on the side of I think he'll end up going purely for his benefit, as well as maybe not needing him as much. I mean, he's a good squad player. He seems like a good leg, but I just think we'll move on for both parties' sakes. But we're going to bring up your lineup, Danny. I mean, this was interesting when you sent me the first one, and I was like, okay, I can see that, and then you sent me a new one on some plasterboard. Time well spent. So just for the audio listeners, it's a 5-2-2-1 as I've. Wing backs further up. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So Matt Sells in goal, Milenkovic, Murillo, Morata at the back, Aina, Dominguez, Anderson, Williams across midfield, and Jota, Silva, and Morgan Gibbs-White supporting the evergreen Chris Wood, as I like to call him. Thoughts about this? And I mean, Reece, you feel free to jump in whenever you want to ask a question, because I'm asking a million.
It's a 3-4-3, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It's a 3-4-3. I'm not against it at all, to be honest. I kind of call for a 3-4-3 against Man United just to match him man for man. I don't mind that at all. I think it's you've absolutely killed him, Wickers, to be honest, putting it like that, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. When the people see that visually, it looks like he's absolute chaos that does.
I mean, just for visual and audio, wing backs are further up than they are on the screen. Just to let you know.
You should have put a picture of me plasterboard on.
I mean, that'd have been lovely.
Yeah, for the audio listeners only, it's an upside down Christmas tree here when it should be a 3-4-3. But no, it's I don't mind it. I can certainly get behind it in some respects. It's who've you basically you've got Morato in for Chow.
Yeah.
Dominguez in for
Yates.
Yeah.
What is your thinking here, Danny? Why have you suddenly want to change formation against Aston Villa?
Well, for me, I think we've lost the midfield in the last 5 weeks. So I think I'd be a hypocrite if I was to sit here, have that opinion, and then just think, and I'm not naive enough to think Dominguez will go in there and answer the problem that Yates has got, because I don't think Dominguez will. I personally think Dominguez is a better player than Yates. That's why I've chosen, because I think I look at it and I think of the season, and I think of the League Cup game we set up like that against Newcastle. Newcastle had a strong side out that game. We had a weakened side out that game, and I thought that was the most football, and I'd say the most we've controlled the midfield all season. And so I look and I think, put better players in there and let's have a look at it, because it's not working at the minute. I don't think it is. And it's like, I could have gone 4-3-3 or whatever it is at the minute, 4-2-3-1. And then half hour, 40 minutes in, we're getting overrun. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not surprised. We've done it. It's happened for the last 4 games. So that's why I've gone for it. And I get like, you're losing the width a bit, but Nico's best attribute for me is going forward, is a willing runner. Aina, who just knows quality, he can do both, he's brilliant, he can get up and down. We know Morata's not a risk. He's not like you're chucking in someone who's like saying it's not Joe Worrell, is it? And then I think you've got Anderson and Gibbs White. I like Gibbs White to be a bit more deep, and then you've got Jota, who out of Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, I think it'd be a bit more on the front foot of the press to them two. So that's why I'd go for it and try and like fill the midfield, because the games where we have won, like the Liverpool game, the Chelsea, we had heavy. There was a lot of Brighton. There was a lot of midfield in there. A lot of it was based around the midfield. Liverpool, we had 5 centre mids on, didn't we, at Liverpool? Do you know what I mean? That's how we started the game. So I just feel like we need to get hold of it in the midfield, and I back the defenders. Gets Murillo on the ball a bit more, is one of the deeper ones. And that's my reasoning behind it. Like, I don't think either wingers are in form at the minute, so it's like we can say, we'll catch them on the counter. But it's not. We've not countered no one since I can remember, really. I mean, have we scored a counter-attack goal for a while? I can't really remember.
I guess you can count the one against Man Utd at the weekend as a kind of counter-attack. We win the ball on our own edge of the box and go forward, don't we? But it kind of ends up being recycled, I suppose, if you want to look at it like that. That was essentially a counter-attack goal. But I don't know if they'd put it down on the stat sheet as such. I think you're iterating towards more like one, a bit like Elanga to a 1-year against Arsenal, aren't you? You'd count that. That's a typical counter-attack goal. You've ran down the other end.
Yeah. Like Reece was saying, like at the minute, we don't set up like we did before when we used to counter-attack. Like he just said, like when we was playing under Cooper, and we did look predominantly like, and it was counter-attack. We'd give it Johnson, run down the wing, and one you'll keep up with him. And virtually every other goal we scored was a counter-attack goal. And I think we don't set up necessarily like that so much now. Like we are a bit deeper. And I think Gibbs White plays a bit higher now as well, to be fair, than what he used to.
Yeah, we're 4-2-4 without the ball.
Yeah,
100%. When we sort of sit there and we're 4-2-4, and I think what Nuno tries to do is possibly invite a ball down the channel, then sort of recuperate once they've broke through that sort of line of the 10, force them out wide, and then by the time they've come back inside, you flooded the middle of the pitch.
Yeah,
it's sort of how he likes to play. Tries to force everything. We are with the narrowest team in the league, I think, which shows you that you are trying to naturally force them down the wings to then force the ball inside, get your turnovers, because that plays to the strengths of the central midfielders that we've got available to us, and then spring from there, doesn't it? Really, but it's definitely food for thought. And as you was talking, Danny, I was thinking it's almost a 3-5-2, really, isn't it? 3-5-1-1 with Yotta off Wood.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
Morgan sort of sitting, Morgan and Elliott as like sort of 2-8s with Dominguez possibly deeper, or even though if you try and rein him in as the deepest man, I don't think it's going to happen for long, because he's like a Jack Russell, isn't he? He just sort of follows that. He'll run across that ball from left back to right back if he has to.
Just running around barking at people.
Yeah.
And also, like, just to touch on like the reason was also, like, I don't think that you mentioned Rodgers and also McGinn. They're not going to get done with the antics that I think Yates brings. Like, I don't think that the physical is strong. Like, McGinn loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
he's here for it, isn't he? McGinn is. Yeah, it plays into his hands.
It's like Bruno. Like Bruno, obviously not as good as Bruno, but he reminds me of that. Like, he wants that. Bruno wants that. He wants it every day of the week. And I think Rodgers is a bit like that. You look at him. I mean, he looks like he's ready to go. He's a big lad. He looks like he's willing to, and he's not like a big star, is he? He's not going to get like Bruno Fernandes. Like, is up and coming. He's got a lot to prove, and I think physically is brilliant as well. So that's. Yeah. I think Dominguez's ratting would be a bit more.
I guess with that formation you've chosen, Danny, as well, like Morgan Rodgers will probably likely to tuck in off that left-hand side, I'd have thought. So, like, at least then Milenkovic is kind of going to be that one that will be getting near him, and then you got Murillo to kind of mop up in a sense. So, I don't hate it. I just wanted to know why, sort of thing. I think it's a really interesting take, and like you say, we've not won a midfield battle for God knows how long. It would be nice to get on top, because that's where generally you win most of your games, and if you can get the ball to Elliot Anderson a lot more to then feed the forward line, and I don't see why not. And you still got width to provide crosses from there. But we're going to play a little game, lads, before we get into score predictions. It's going to be my tennis game. So I've got the game from last season against Aston Villa where we won 2-0. In turns, you're going to name me the 11 or subs that come on in that game from Villa and Forest. And basically, if you don't get one right, you lose one life. You get 2 lives, we'll do. Because normally I'll get people on and they're rubbish at this game. So I'm just going to see how your memory goes.
Yeah, I've gone blank already, me.
Yeah,
you've gone blank already. Well, brilliant. So we won 2-0. Jared Gillett was referee, just under 30,000.
Who scored?
Well, that would be good. Wouldn't it?
Nearly.
Danny, I'm going to give you the first go to name me a player that played in that game from either Forest or Villa.
Awonyi.
Awonyi did play, yeah.
Martinez.
Come on, Reed. Martinez, yeah. He let in a clanger.
Dominguez.
Dominguez, yep.
Watkins.
Yes.
Mangala.
Yes. This is going a lot better than the last time I did this.
Dinya.
Dinya, yeah. Nicodine.
Murillo.
Yep.
I'm not a Villa fan, promise. Kamara.
Yeah.
Blackodemos.
Yes.
That's a great
that
shot.
Was his first game, I believe, as well. I think it was his first game. And we thought, oh, yeah, this is brilliant. You don't let goals in.
Now I'm in absolute struggles now. Who played for them? I'm trying to think who played off. Did Tielemans play?
He came on as a sub, so yes.
Aina.
Yep, he scored one of the goals. You've named both goal scorers in Aina and Mangala. Obviously,
of
Ola
course,
Aina
it
is
was
part of
Mangala, wasn't it?
the Aina goal on our intro is from that Villa game. So
Did
yeah.
Morgan play?
Morgan played, yeah.
Yeah.
Toffolo assisted him, didn't
He did. He
That
got
was my
both assists.
Oh, that was my next one. That Toff. Mins was injured.
This is going very well.
Diego Carlos was possibly injured. I'm trying to think because I go all football nerdy and like enjoy watching the other team more than Forest sometimes. Leon Bailey didn't play, did he?
Yep, Leon Bailey
Oh, he
came
did.
on as a I called him Liam Bailey earlier. I do
Liam
apologise.
Bailey.
It's because there's like a musician from Nottingham called Liam Bailey. I just
he? Yeah, it's
reminded me of him.
from Southsome near me.
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Danny. It's your go. This is one for the ages. This.
I had someone named Douglas Louise.
Douglas Luiz, yeah.
He did play, yeah, because he was good. He was a proper techie little player, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Now I am proper struggling. Have I said Big T? And someone said Tyler.
Yeah.
Wood, I don't know. Wood.
No
Come on.
Wood.
No.
Wood. So that's one life gone for you, Reece. Right, Danny.
Sangari.
On to you. Sangari played yet?
I think I'm gonna have to admit defeat now. That's did Matty Cash play?
Matty Cash did play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Danilo.
Danilo came on as a sub.
Ooh. I'm trying to think who the centre halves were. I'm just gonna go Carlos, but I think he was injured.
Diego Carlos came on as a sub.
Have I named all of Villa's subs that game? I think I've named every one of the players that's come on.
Only one that you haven't named.
Have we said Pau? Did we say Pau?
No, you're not said Pau Torres. He's on there. Yeah, you got him. So just to give you a little help, we've got 3 Forest subs unnamed, a centre half, and a midfield player or a forward player, and then for Villa, a defender, a substitute, 3 midfielders or forward players, if you want to call them that.
I'm trying to think who partnered Murillo. Was it Bolly?
No. So you are done.
Was it
Danny, just to name it. No. You've got one life left. Name me one player you win.
Oh, Niakate, wasn't it?
It was Niakate. So the other unnamed players were Nico Williams, Serge Aurier, Ryan Yates, Anthony Alanga, Ezri Konza, Leon Dondonka. Is it Leon or Leo Dendonka?
Leo Dendonka.
Yeah, Dendonka, yeah.
John McGinn, Zaniolo, and Diaby.
Oh, Zaniolo. He got dragged at half time, didn't he?
He did, yeah. If I remember rightly, Villa played a ridiculously high line because I think got caught offside so many times. I do wonder if they play the same way still because I've not really watched loads of Villa this season. But they've had
they're a bit more quarterback. They sort of like have Pau Torres sort of like zinging from deep and just sort of playing from there. And Kamara sits quite deep and sort of starts things.
Right.
Yeah, they sort of build up from the back a little bit more now.
I just thought then. I say Niakate were outstanding that game, wasn't it? I can remember that.
He was. He
bullied Watkins the whole game.
Yeah, it was outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, it's 1-1 in Leipzig against Aston Villa. Openda scored, so sort of swings and roundabouts here. I mean, tough for them. Obviously, got back-to-back away games, going to Germany, coming to us. I mean, it's going to be one hell of a game, I think, and it will be a game that kind of gives us probably a lot of answers in terms of where we're heading this season. And just to finish off the pod, guys, where's your expectation levels now? Because like you said at the start, Danny, we're now in a European spot and it's really hard to go, well, I'll still be happy if we finish 13th. It is hard to say it sometimes, but you want to be realistic and a bit more kind of, let's remember where we've come from and the struggles of the last 2 seasons. But has anything changed for you? Like, where do you see us kind of finishing?
For me, it's like I was saying, I mean, I seen someone message me on Twitter that when I've mentioned about like getting a stronger centre mid, and they mentioned, "Oh, we're not ready for Europe yet," and I'm like, "You don't. You just take it when it comes." It's like I feel like if we had to have gone up the season we went up, I don't think we'd have gone up the following season because it was the right time. Like we got the loan players, like everything come together. So for me, you sat fifth. Obviously, if we finish 10th, you can say it's a brilliant season. But if you're fifth and we win and we get to halfway through the season and we're comfortably in European places, and then you drop like a stone, you can't tell me you won't be disappointed. You can't because that's like you only your expectations change. They do. It's like at the start of the season, yeah, we all say, "Oh yeah, I'd like to be comfortable and be on the beach for 4 games to go." But when you're there, for me, I'm not expecting Europe. I think these next 4 games are massive. If we come out of these next 4 games and we've got 7 points and we're looking comfortable for Europe come January, I wouldn't expect it, but I'd like to think that be within the club, they're thinking this is a chance. But if we finish 10th, I'm not going to be disappointed, but I'm not going to say, "Oh,
you'd be disappointed."
yeah. I'm not going to say, "Oh God, it's a crap season," but we are where we are, and it's like there's no luck in it. Like you are where you are. Like you got to look at it. Like no one's picking any steam up behind us, so you've got to strike while the iron's hot for me. So yeah, I will say I'd like us to finish in the top half, 100%. I'd like us to finish in the top half now, and like I say, in the next few games, if we get 7 points out of the next 4, I'd like to think, yeah, it's a possibility of Europe. I do. I'll say it.
I mean, it very much reminds me of how when Leicester won the league, when no one could string results together apart from them, and it was just very strange. I mean, Tottenham were in the title race until they weren't, so just it is that. Reece, I know you very well, and I know you're going to be preparing yourself for disappointment already. So, what's your opinion on that question?
Like between 7th and 11th for me now. Like it's realistic. I just look at the other teams and just think they've been there and done it. Our manager's got enough to get us over the line of the players. Let's see, basically. And we're sort of talking before a possible opportunity for recruitment in January. If you've seen it change team seasons, get 2 or 3 signings right in January, and they kick on and go from 14th up to 7th, 8th, and then that's the opportunity for us and a real catalyst. Now, the other thing is we've spoke quite a lot about central midfield as an improvement to get us into that bracket of clubs and get you amongst them conversations consistently, because that's the thing as well. You don't want to be a flash in the pan. You want to be consistent with it. So who is there out there? Obviously that's completely up to the scouts, but I don't think you keep dipping your toe in that Brazilian market. You have to get someone established, and who can you peel away from the club in January who's of that ilk? I don't think there's many out there. So you kind of then back to square one, sitting on your hands and hoping that the boys who are already there can do it. And there's no reason that they can't, because they're currently doing it. So I think 7th to 11th to me is still more than a good season. And I mean, but when you compare the squads and the money spent, who we're surrounded with at the moment is like night and day still. So it's a huge 11th for me is a massive achievement. It really is. But the moment I do what Danny does and dare to dream, I really upset myself very quickly, as you very well know. I keep my head very much screwed on with stuff like that, because I have to screw it on tight because it falls off quite easy. So if I start looking at Europe, for me, 2 games to go and you've got a realistic opportunity of Europe, I'll be absolutely gutted that we don't make it. But for now, 7th to 11th, because at the start of the season I was saying 17th to 14th, so I'm just going to shift it up that next band and then just keep going from there, and then I won't be too disappointed if it don't happen, but then I'll be extremely excited when it does.
I know, it's lovely to have these conversations though. I mean, at least just kind of hope. It's funny though, because January last 2 seasons we've actually done really well. I think January first season we got in Navas, Felipe, Danilo, and Wood, who's now obviously become our top goal scorer. Who would have thought that when we signed him, and everyone slagging him off to the hills.
There's another one there, wasn't there as well?
Andre Ayew.
John Joe Shelby. We're going to talk about him. Yeah, that's one in like 5.
Yeah,
that's quite good.
It's a good strike rate. Yeah,
and then I think last season we got in Sells. I believe. I think he was the major one where we were struggling. So yeah, I mean the loans weren't very good that we got in last season. Like Gio Reyna was an absolute utter flop, but can't be all hits. So it's going to be an interesting one. I'm just excited that we're having these conversations, and I would be like you, Danny. I mean, if we was in touching distance and then like it kind of we fell aside, you'd be a little bit disappointed. But in hindsight, you'd be buzzing because we're not talking about we need to look at like Luton and I don't know, Burnley, or obviously this season would be like, let's look at Ipswich and Southampton, where we're miles ahead of them. We're miles a better team than both of them. Then all the promoted sides, and Wolves, weirdly enough. Maybe we'll get Mateus Cunha. That'd be a great signing for anyone, wouldn't it?
I think Lamina's not a bad player though. I don't. Is it Lamina?
I really like him.
Mate,
good player.
I rate him
very highly.
I think it's they've just they've sold the best players, haven't they? And we all know that. You just can't
replace them. Gomez as well, great player.
I was adamant on a Ruben Neves reunion until he's done his cruciate and he's out for a year. I think I was adamant on getting Ruben Neves from the Saudi league, reuniting, get the Portuguese band back together, get a Portugal away kit next season, and get to Lithuania on a Thursday night.
Oh, dude. That's the dream.
I can't wait for Karabag away and then playing on a Sunday against Man City. It's what we all want, innit? See, I'm getting excited now. Look, 11th for me because
I know. Eighth is European football. I mean, I can't believe half the league are going to be in Europe next season. It's absolute that's just bonkers, really. Like, it's just ludicrous as well. But can I get a score prediction from you, Reese, for the weekend before I forget?
2-2, I think, for me. I think it's going to be a close one. I score in 2-2.
All right, Danny?
I'm going to go 2-1 win.
Yeah, I said 1-0 win for it. So, I mean, they're all good results in some respects. Depends on how they come about, I guess. But yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting Christmas period, as we said. I mean, I can't believe we've come away from Manchester 2 times this week and got 3 points. If you told me we've got 1, I'd be happy. So, bonus. Fantastic. But thank you both for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hope all the listeners have enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
Thank you for having us. Much appreciated.
Yeah, well, if you've tuned in, you've enjoyed what you've listened to, subscribe, hit the like button. It all helps. Obviously, we gave some prizes away this month as well with Christian's book, a £50 gift voucher. So subscribe and all that stuff for future stuff to come out. And we'll see you in for the review. Till next time, come on, you Reds.